Hello there, thanks for coming by PosterCentral.com's video blog today. I'm Pete Howard, and today I've got three late 60s rhythm and blues and soul concert posters on cardboard stock from that famous renowned Globe poster company out of Baltimore, Maryland. So all three very much look like the old Globes and have some really neat acts on them. First, we're going to start with 1968 with the one that's in my hand, May 17th, 1968, and interestingly the show itself took place in Baltimore, Maryland, where the Globe Poster Company printed the posters as well. But this is Sam and Dave, headliners. In fact, let's move in for a closer look, and you can see this is a tour blank, so the top has just the venue and the date put in there, and then the rest in yellow and black, very catchy. Nice Globe poster here, and we'll get to the rest of that in just a second. But Sam and Dave, it's pretty perfect for them. They actually had really three big, almost household name hits in the pop world, and and the rest were some R&B hits and so forth. But it's nice because all three of these records are on the poster. You can see next to Sam and Dave's heads there, it says Soul Man and Hold On, I'm Coming. Did you make that out okay? This is a very tall poster, so I have to be careful. And then it says, underneath their picture, I Thank You, which was another big pop hit. And then next to that it says, When Something Is Wrong With My Baby. And that was a #2 R&B hit, but not necessarily a pop hit. That was an R&B smash, and great record. But it's interesting timing in Sam and Dave's career because they pretty much crashed after this point. They had a smattering of R&B hits, but they had produced their greatest work, and certainly their three, the Blues Brothers covering them and everything, their three biggies. And then it was a little bit, sort of downhill after that. So, and you've got some other soul acts on here, which are pretty nice. So you've got the Intruders on there, and this song didn't go anywhere, but Cowboys to Girls was their really big crossover hit, and it hit Billboard magazine this very week, so that's really neat. So it's too new to be on the poster, but I mean that was a big smash. That went top 10 in the pop world, never mind the soul music world. So the Intruders there with Cowboys to Girls. And then you have some other things. Of course, there's Al Wilson, who would have his biggest pop hit with Show and Tell in the early 70s, and so on and so forth. And then you get down to another member of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Sam and Dave are in there, and that, of course, is Curtis Mayfield and the Impressions. And boy, what a great band they were. It's funny, it says extra added attraction, but they could practically carry the poster all by themselves. You've got on there as song titles Gypsy Woman, everybody's favorite from early in the decade, and then you've got We're a Winner, which was a #1 R&B hit this very year in 1968, and then kind of an interesting set of song titles below that. It's I've Been Trying and People Get Ready. You can probably see that, but what's weird is that People Get Ready was the real influential side and made a real strong impression on the music world, and I've Been Trying rather was merely the B-side of that. It was sort of a two-sided hit. I've Been Trying managed to sneak into the top 40 R&B, but basically People Get Ready was the real special record. So, there we have it from, excuse me, March of 1968, a big, beautiful soul music Globe poster with Sam and Dave being the stars. For our next one, we're going to move to later in 1968. That would be September of 68. And, excuse me, here we have Jackie Wilson, who of course started in the late 50s, and so this is a little bit late in his career. However, in 67, he had that huge hit with Your Love Taking Me Higher, Keeps Taking Me, Lifting Me rather, Higher and Higher. But here we have one from Charlotte, North Carolina, September 1968, and the late 60s publicity photo of Jackie with his jacket slung over his shoulder and the cigarette in his hand. And this is a plain and simple Globe poster. Doesn't have a lot of acts on it, much less interesting acts. And it's, the yellow is kind of dull and all that. And it's, it's just really too bad that they didn't put Your Love Keeps Lifting Me Higher and Higher on here. That would have been great, right? I mean, it's his recent hit with a recent photo. Instead, they put on there Lonely Teardrops, which was a big signature hit but 10 years ago. And then For Your Precious Love below that, and that record, frankly, was a total stiff on both the R&B and soul charts. It's not like it didn't appear at all, but it just barely made a mark. So, but my estimation, sort of a dull poster, not a lot of acts on it. sort of the wrong song titles on it. So look, I can't say every poster's a winner. We'll call this one, since it's the in-between poster, frankly I'm not crazy about it. I think it's kind of a loser, but I love Jackie and I love Higher and Higher, and this is the era, so for that reason this cardboard globe poster does have some redeeming value. For our third and final one, we jump to 1969. In fact, let's get really late in the decade, November 1969, so almost the 70s. And here we have a globe poster tour blank from the Norfolk, Virginia Arena, November 22nd of 69. And as you can see, David Ruffin is the headliner. I'm going to move it in here. At least history tells me that David Ruffin is the most important headliner. And of course he is, or I should say was, the former lead singer for The Temptations. And I mean, he sang on some killers, didn't he? He sang lead on My Girl, lead voice on Ain't Too Proud to Beg, Beauty Is Only Skin Deep, I Know I'm Losing You, and I Wish It Would Rain. There's an assortment of 5 just killer Temptation songs. But it's kind of interesting, you know, egos do tend to get in the way sometimes, and these, in fact, they get in the way all the time, but sometimes they get destructive. And it's pretty widely reported Ruffin had quite a cocaine and drug problem and so forth, and he saw the Supremes turn into Diana Ross and the Supremes. He saw the Miracles turn into Smokey Robinson and the Miracles, and he really wanted David Ruffin and the Temptations. And with a couple of other lead vocalists in the group, Berry Gordy, obviously the founder and owner of Motown, the guy who called all the shots, thought it was just not the way to go. He wanted the Temps to stay the Temps. And so between that and drug use and ego clashes and everything, in June of '68, David moved along and launched his solo career. And his biggest hit is listed above his name, which is My Whole World Has Ended. I should say My Whole World Ended. Let me get this over here. The Moment You Left Me. There it is. And Ruffin, you know, it's unfortunate. I mean, he did sing all those great songs, but, you know, besides his ego wanting the group to be called David Ruffin the Temptations, after Dennis Edwards took his place in the Temptations and Ruffin had a solo career going, he would occasionally show up unannounced at Temptations concerts. And when the group started to break into one of his old records like My Girl, he would sort of like walk on the stage with a big smile and take the mic and sing it himself and surprise and embarrass the current lineup of the Temptations. So it got kind of crazy, so it got kind of bad. So you've got other acts on here, like any big poster. Mel and Tim, Backfield in Motion was a big hit for them. Dyke and the Blazers, that Let a Woman Be a Woman, Let a Man Be a Man was top 10 R&B for them. But what I really like about this is the Kool and the Gang inclusion down at the bottom. That's the real sleeper act on this poster. My gosh, a real sleeper act. At this point in November 1969, I'll zoom in for the picture look too, and then their name. Notice there's no song title, because the poster makers probably thought it would be redundant. Because at this point in late 1969, they had one little top 20 rhythm and blues hit, and it was the self-titled thing called Kool and the Gang. So sort of like in the 50s, a decade ago, more than a decade ago, Bo Diddley having his first hit record with a song called Bo Diddley, Kool and the Gang did the same. However, the next 2 decades, Kool and the Gang would absolutely dominate the rhythm and blues charts, the soul music charts, with almost 50 singles charting on Billboard magazine's R&B charts, and probably 40 of them hits, including, of course, such staples that we all know no matter what age you are, from weddings and everything else, Ladies' Night and Celebration. So, interesting, beautiful globe poster with real bright yellow and day-glow orange colors, and it's hard to get it all in the frame here. Sorry about that. It's a tall poster, but I guess that befits any poster that headlines David Ruffin, because he was pretty tall himself at 6'3". So anyway, hope you enjoyed the 3 late 60s soul music posters. I enjoyed showing them to you. Thank goodness for Globe Poster Company back then. And great looking stuff to hang on the wall now and just hum the hits as you're walking around the house, and that's why we collect old concert posters. So thanks a lot for coming by, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.